Ho, 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 ho.
Merry Christmas.
Holiday season.
Ho, ho, ho. It is holiday season, fellas.
Yes, sir.
And I'm in a great holiday mood right now.
I just peeped the hat too.
Oh yeah, you like that?
The Christmas
like that?
theme,
Look.
the Mets joint too. I like that.
Look, got the little red brim underneath, the green.
I
It's
love
hard.
everything about the hat. So unfortunately, the team on it just needs to get better. But hopefully, they're spending money. They're spending money.
We didn't just get better. Let's not talk about we just signed probably one of the best pitchers in baseball.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Wait. Hold on. We'll get to it. It's locked out right now. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing going on right now.
Look. Sneak previews. We haven't talked any baseball yet, but we'll definitely get into
We haven't forgot about our baseball fans. We got you guys. Definitely have a bunch of time and deep debates, so I can't wait.
I love me some baseball. I know our audience is looking forward to some of that baseball talk. But we are back for episode number 9.
Sir.
So let's kick off this episode like how we kick off every episode. We're gonna do our cheers here, and we're gonna get cracking right into it.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, you guys.
Cheers, viewers. We're almost at our 10 episode anniversary. I like this. This feels good, But then, and it's a lot of learning, but it feels good. It feels good. I think, and many of you, we don't really get into our personal lives as much in terms of what we do outside of planning and working so hard at this podcast. But our co-host D-Lo got a chance to take a little business trip.
I did.
Was down in San Antonio. Tell us about that, D-Lo. How was San Antonio?
It was beautiful, honestly. We went down to a really nice resort called the JW Marriott in San Antonio. It's actually where they host one of the PGA tours, I guess. I didn't even know. It's a huge resort, got this big golf course, all that and whatnot. But at our company, we have a tradition. So every time we take a business trip and we go on site, actually, let's give some clarity first. Let's introduce what I'm about to talk about here, because I want everybody to know something here. I have a problem with one of my coworkers right now. So we were kind of discussing this at our meetings that we do for our show, and we decided, let's integrate a new segment into what we do. Yeah. So we have a new segment for you guys. It's called Who Smoked It?
Exactly.
Who smoked it?
We always like to tell you the right picks and what went right, but this segment is almost like our blooper reel. We're human. We make mistakes, but
everybody smokes it eventually. Like I know we have like Shaq and the Fool. Shaq's got his like Shaq and the Fool. This is our kind of version of Who Smoked It. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's bets that we make together and who smoked the bet for us, whether it's, we go back and look at a player who smoked the game for somebody, whatever it may be, whoever is the smoked it character of the week, they're going to be brought up on this podcast.
Almost like, if you guys don't know, almost like a who fumbled the bag type of segment. Bro.
Exactly. And check out, we're going to actually be posting some who smoked it on TikTok as well, so stay in tune for that. But back to story time here. So I'm down in San Antonio, like I said. We're on a business trip, and every business trip, my company likes to get together and make a group bet, a group, football bet, a touchdown score. We try to pick, there was 5 of us for this one. So all 5 of us picked one touchdown score for, the afternoon games, from the 1 o'clock to the 4 o'clock, whatever. So I choose Alexander Madison. One of my coworkers, her name is Lizzie. She chose Antonio Gibson. We had another solid one, right? No J.D. McKissick, makes sense. No Dalvin Cook, both make sense. Another coworker, my boy Trey, shout out to Trey. He chose Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon been scoring every week. That was a lock.
Great pick.
My manager Marzo, he decided to go with James Conner. Again, another lock. I think he leads the league in touchdowns. Exactly.
Ridiculous.
He's knocking on the door. And then my man Rob. My man Robert. You, my friend, are now on Who Smoked It. Because guess who decides to put on this ticket? Can anyone take a guess?
Oh man, I gotta guess that I would think Rob, maybe he wants to pick a Rob Gronkowski. They got the same name to pick Rob Gronkowski. I would like that pick.
I would think maybe a little playoff Lenny action, he's been getting the end zone. I know that's Ty's guy.
Yep.
You guys are warm. You're in the right game. And both those guys scored. That's actually 3 touchdowns combined from the 2 of them. But he decides to pick this guy, Mike Evans. Mike Evans did not score a touchdown, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Evans did not score a touchdown. We each put $10 in. I think total payout, we would have each made $240. It was like $1,200 payout. Wow. Each would have made $240 off putting down $10.
And then for those who might not know about the betting world, those names he listed, all they have to do is just score a touchdown.
All they got to do is score a touchdown.
They don't have to win the game. It's not like they have to get a certain yard requirement. They just have to score in the end zone. So for those who may not know.
So Robert, I have to air out my beef with you here because you completely smoked it. Like your big feature on who smoked it. Honestly, you're the reason we came up with this segment right now, Robert. You smoked it. You smoked the bag. You smoked the bag. And I told him during the trip, I was like, you honestly should owe each of us $10 right now.
So like to make it right or pay for a dinner.
Pay for a dinner or something. You should buy me a drink because you just smoked the bag. I just smoked the bag.
I know y'all gonna get bonuses soon. Did he close any deals? D-Lo, you gotta cut you in. You gotta cut somebody.
He honestly should. I don't know because I know he's on the our delegate team, so he's on the opposite team that I'm on. So I'm not too sure. But all I know is he smoked my bet. He kind of ruined the weekend a little bit for me. I'm not gonna lie. I was chatting about that the whole entire weekend. I was like, Rob, what happened to Mike Evans, bro? And he kept trying to blame Tom Brady. I'm like, don't blame Tom Brady. Blame yourself. This is. You're the only one that chose a receiver on this list. Everybody took running backs here, by the way.
Yeah.
You want to go get cute? Go get a receiver.
Not only you get a receiver, you get a receiver in a passing attack like that, where you know Tom Brady likes to spread the ball around. Exactly. It's almost like he alternates on who's going to get the love. But one thing is consistent. Rob Gronkowski was it with him in New England. That's just. If him or Antonio Brown are playing healthy on that field, if you're going to pick a receiver, Rob, I'm giving you some advice. Try to pick one of those people because Brady brought them there. And if Brady brought you somewhere, also brought Leonard Fournette, exactly. But he's going to make sure you look good.
And guys, it felt like National Tight End Day because I looked down the board and almost every goddamn tight end scored. I'm like, dude, you had so many other options. I mean, George Kittle scored 2. Dallas Goedert scored 2. TJ Hawkinson scored. I think Noah Fant scored in the game. I'm like, Rob Gronkowski scored. Like, what in the world? Like, you could have won Justin Jefferson. Oh, no, actually, you couldn't go Justin Jefferson because I had Alexander Madison. But still, you get where I'm going. There was a lot of other options. You could have went Leonard Fournette, who scored every week, it seems like. So it's just like, you just had to be that guy. He was that guy.
I will ask you, D-Lo, so maybe the next time you get in a group and you're doing these team bets, is he going to get are you going to let him in and get him a chance to redeem himself?
We're going to highly evaluate everybody's pick, I think. We let that one slide on the table too well. Too much trust. We're definitely, everybody's got to take a little bit of evaluation on their pick next time, that's for sure.
They should. They definitely should. But Rob, welcome to the podcast. Unfortunately, you are our Smoked It member of the week. However, you're not the only one that's been smoking it. In fact, Rob, we don't want you to be alone. So each of us have come up or thought of an example of things we said on this podcast, whether or things that we're involved in, i.e. same fantasy basketball league or fantasy football league. And so, you know what? I will definitely have to throw one over at my guy D-Lo. Oh. Just as much as you wanted to punish Rob, D-Lo, all I know is you were undefeated. You were riding high. D-Lo is 7-0 in his fantasy football league, ladies and gentlemen. D-Lo is now in week 1 of the playoffs, or I should say the league is in week 1 of the playoffs. D-Lo, are you with the rest of the playoff teams?
I actually have a bye. I'm in the consolation bracket. I don't even know what to say too much on that, honestly. I wanted to cry. I had a couple games I literally lost by less than 1. Like, if I won one more game, like, I was locked in the playoffs. I literally went 0-6. And it was after I actually, go check it out on our TikTok. I actually posted about me being 7-0.
D-Lo's feeling real sexy in that TikTok. That's all I'm going to say.
I was feeling too sexy. I was feeling way too sexy. I was in first place. I was 2 games in the lead, too. I had a 2-game lead on the second place team, too, at that time. And I smoked it. I completely smoked it. I don't know. The collapse was monumental. I mean, Calvin Ridley goes out for whatever reason. His whatever it was. We still don't know what personal reasons. He went down, and it was just a lot of stuff. Russell Wilson took some time off for a while.
came back to throw.
Yeah, and it came back and absolutely did nothing. You know, I had some bye weeks sprinkled in there too. Travis Kelce finally had his bye. Swift ended up going down late in the season then for me. Chase Edmonds was on the IR for some time. You know, my receivers were. It was bad. It was
so
bad. I was
funny?
down bad.
Because me and D'Lo, we were in multiple fantasy leagues, so we're always just here chopping it up, like talking fantasy. And you know, I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was like for a good like 2 or 3 week span, and D'Lo was introducing to me a new trade idea, and I was just like, why is he trying so hard to move his team around? Like I thought he was solid. I'm thinking things are okay. And
I wasn't deep enough. I wasn't deep enough, honestly, at the wide receiver position. Mainly, that's what kind of threw me off the way I kind of drafted. I had a lot of backup running backs, and this year, so last year we had went to an extra 2 bench slots because of COVID. So that transitioned over into this year. I don't think it was purposeful. Next year we already agreed we're going back to, you know, less people on the bench. But it's already a 12-man league, and you had 8 bench positions with 2 IR slots. So guys, the waiver wire was not it. Like when someone got hurt, and my team already wasn't deep. When someone got hurt, like
scraps.
It was scraps. It was I'm picking up piles of dog shit at this point. Like, it was garbage. Like, oh my god. And the way I lost a couple of these games was just heartbreaking. Like I was sitting on my couch. At least 2 Monday Night Footballs.
Oh yeah, Monday. Oh, the kicker.
And I literally watched the entire game because it came down to the last play on each of them, the final play on each of them.
Yeah.
And I ended up not pulling through. I smoked it. I definitely should be on who smoked it because starting off 7-0 and then going 0-6 and missing the playoffs, that hurt. Yeah. I'm still not mentally recovered from that, honestly.
Throw the icing on the cake. We've socialized. I mean, hopefully he'll get on this podcast soon. But that league is with our very own Thomas Pancaldo, a.k.a. Tommy, who you guys have probably heard about a couple of times.
Numerous times.
You guys, Tommy is what you guys would think is a very nice guy, very kind of stand-up guy on the face. But if you get to know Tommy like how we know Tommy, there is no one you want to lose to, have their team beat your team. Yep. You just don't want that situation with Tommy. And D'Lo had to see it front and center when Tommy, starting off rough, I think, what did he start off? Probably like 1-5 or 2-4. Yeah, so just to compound things, we've probably socialized with you guys about Mr. Thomas Pancaldo, our very own Juice Crew member. And he's a stand-up guy. On paper, I think Tommy... Great guy, but if you get to know,
he's like the little brother you always wanted to have.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. So we see pictures. He's wearing Landon game with shirt in college to go out for the night. Maybe Tommy wants to talk to a girl here and there. He has a nice outfit. We took care of Tommy.
He took care. I'm not gonna expose him. We gonna bring out the stories when he comes here.
Fuck Tommy because between him and because he slid in the playoffs with basically they got in because of points. There was 4 of us that had the same record, and it was Tommy and this other kid named Tyler Zucker. I was actually on his podcast. Go check it out. It's called 1, 2, 3 Binge. I went on there and talked a couple sports movies, so go check that out. But yeah, they were the first ones talking shit. As soon as they found out I wasn't in the playoffs, they ran to the group chat.
Couldn't wait.
They could not wait. And I am praying both of them get their ass kicked, honestly, in the first round. Right now, Tommy is not on a good hot strike. I mean, he did have Dalvin Cook, who started off busting for him.
Saved my...
Saved your y'all asses too.
Me too. I've been on that. I'm fighting.
Finally was playing like a first pick, but whoa.
If you look at the rest of his team, who he has out, it's not looking pretty. Waddle on a bye. No. Jonathan Taylor on a bye. Elijah Moore to the IR. It's not looking good. Keenan Allen, COVID. It's those are heavy hitters.
Yeah,
those are his heavy hitters.
I'm feeling that.
So Tommy, good luck, man. Good luck. That's all I'm gonna say.
D'Lo, to make you feel a little bit better, I've also myself have had some fantasy football trouble. So, we're gonna start this off with some background stories. So, your boy LG. Big basketball fan. I'm a basketball guy. I haven't really played football since, the Madden days or whatever. So, my guys hit me up like, we got this podcast cooking up, So, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to join a fantasy football league because in joining a fantasy football league, I got to watch football night. And now I could talk about it in the podcast. So, boom, first time fantasy owner. Selected a pretty okay team, I would say. Did pretty okay for the first time, but I was a rookie on that waiver wire. I will say, so just so everybody knows, Jalen Waddle, rookie out of Alabama, dog, who's been lighting things up now. unfortunately, you guys are gonna kill me for this, but don't worry, I'll make it up to you guys sometime later in the future. But I dropped Jalen Waddle for free. No trade, no nothing.
Wait, tell him who you picked up for Jalen Waddle, bro. Tell him who you dropped for Jalen Waddle.
I don't even know his name.
Marquez Callaway.
Marquez Callaway.
Marquez Callaway.
When we saw, and it was before we recorded one of our episodes too. Me and Ty saw that in the morning, and we looked at each other and we were like,
why?
We were like, Waddle's a banger. We were like,
now I will say, I figured out the root of the problem, and it always comes the same. I've had this hatred with Jacoby Brissett, I would probably say for three years running now. If I ever see Jacoby, it's all side. We got to do what it got to do. But anyways, so I didn't make that connection with just Tua being out and his homeboy Alabama, because with Jacoby Brissett, he doesn't throw anything past 5 yards.
right.
Yeah.
So I was looking at Waddle's first half stats. The most he ever eclipsed was 11 points. He had like 5 games of like 4.5 because I'm thinking it's Waddle's fault. I should have sat on the rookie, gave him a little bit of time, let him get his feet wet. But
and that was the week, and literally the week you dropped him was the week he started. He started. When they played in London.
The week before Tua came back, he went. I think he had like 24 points against the Jaguars.
I believe, in London. London.
Crazy.
I appreciate the explanation, Landon. We can't let you off the hook. We cannot let you off the hook.
Marquez Callaway, who ended up not even being on his team now. He ended up dropping him for Ben Peoples-Jones. He got from the Browns.
And then I dropped Peoples-Jones.
So pretty much Waddle was floating out there for just anybody.
And by the way, the person who got Waddle was my dad. Shout out, Dad, if you're listening to this podcast. And I think Waddle actually is a good reason why he's where he is in the league. I think he's number 2 seed right now.
8-4 or 9. Was he 9-3, 8-4 or something like that?
He's 8-5, I believe. Yep.
But speaking of the nice and generous young man Tommy, it's Christmas season. Shout out to Tommy for blessing me, because after I made that dumb, stupid mistake of dropping Waddle, he said, "You know what, Landon? I know it's your first year. I'm gonna help you out. You're my friend." So
he's my friend.
I had Clyde, because I had a couple running backs. So I had Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the prime of his fumbling problems. Everybody's looking at him like, this is your second year. What happened? Chiefs were struggling. So I took that Clyde Edwards-Helaire and I traded him for Mr. C.D. Lamb. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Tom, thank you, because after I got CeeDee Lamb, Clyde got hurt. I think Clyde just came back, but everybody, fantasy owners know CD for Clyde.
I will say this: you had probably the worst waiver wire experience of the draft, but you did have probably the best trade.
Yeah.
I mean, getting rid of Clyde Edwards-Helaire for CeeDee Lamb, that was probably a great trade. And like you said, right as soon as you traded him, he went straight to the IR. So that couldn't have worked out. Think about it. Think if you didn't make that trade and he landed on the IR, you'd be probably fucked right now. You'd be fucked.
I guess I gotta ask Mr. Santa Claus for some waiver wire experience and some expertise around there, and I guess I'll be all right.
No, you know what? No, I don't like this, because Landon, he is the reason why trade rape exists. He is the sole reason. He's the common denominator. He's the common denominator in trades and injuries.
That man's a master negotiator.
I should have stayed away. He definitely smoked it, but now I'm going to tell you how I definitely smoked it. Because we have a fantasy basketball league. And granted, at the time I was 0-4. Things were not looking great. In my defense, though, I think this league, I think there was some copycat. I'm not going to say nothing. I just think that last year it was a bunch of less people, I understand. But I introduced the triple-double magic, and I had no draft picks this year because everybody took everybody I wanted. So, you know what? I'm playing the cop-out on that. But to bring it back to Landon, I was trying to make a change up, shift some things around, try to help my team. By the way, my first-round pick was James Harden. Ask me how that's going.
Averaging 5 turnovers per game.
Awful. But I was like, CJ, Dame was off to a slow start. I'm like, CJ, more focal point of the offense of the Blazers. Looked like he took the next step in offseason, had gotten to getting his teammate involved a little bit. And I love me some Zach LaVine. I'm like, I was a Bulls fan. I think this is a perfect pairing. You know, opportunity to shake my roster up, get a high impact player on, I guess, what we could call a poor team now. And now Mr. CJ McCollum has a collapsed lung, and he's not on my fantasy roster. And I'm about to be 1-6. So I thought I'd give you guys that update on how I smoked it. But Landon is not off the hook because you can't trade with him. And I learned my lesson. I will never make another trade with him again.
Hey, I'm not too. I try and do pretty good business with the people I trade with, but
y'all fell right into the trap. Landon has been me and Landon roomed together for 3 years in college. 3 years. And nobody saw this, but every day he was trying to make some type of shoe deal, whatever. He's trying to, like, L is relentless at trying to get what he wants. Like, and he'll, like, it doesn't matter how many no's, like, he'll ask you every day until it's to a point where you actually want what he's about to give you. You're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it.
You know, I'll get to a point where, you know, say if I want like a cool book bag or whatever, you know, I'll give you like 4 or 5 t-shirts, you know, so after a week of me hounding on you, you're looking at like, all right, I could get like 10 t-shirts, you know, what the hell.
Me and Chase know the ramifications of negotiating with LG. I'll tell you that much.
CB, because there's been a lot of, you know, nights where we've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning, just nah, I won't trade that. I want to trade this, you know, just arguing back and forth. But
that's the businessman in him.
Yeah,
that's the businessman in him, man. I'm telling you, that is definitely the businessman in him.
But I will say, Ty said he couldn't let me off the hook, so now me and D-Lo can't let Ty off the hook with CJ. Yeah. You know, it's just tough because CJ he's just always, I think, plays his best ball in the beginning of the season because Dame, I don't know what it is. Dame he just always has that slow start. I just don't know what it is. CJ always comes out as just the alpha, setting the tone for the Blazers in the beginning.
And Landon knew this too before the trade, but Ty had no idea clearly.
But Zach LaVine is just, oh man, that's you know, you guys know I'm a Bulls fan. That's my home, but I will have a Zach LaVine jersey soon. You can mark my words. If he gets us to the playoffs, I will have a Zach LaVine jersey. I think he deserves that. I'll let D-Lo speak a little bit more on that.
I mean, yeah, Zach LaVine's a beast, man. I mean, honestly, during the time, I was kind of like, Ty, maybe you shouldn't do that trade. But you know, it is what it is, and now we're all ended up on who smoked it for the week. Robert, shout out to you. You're on the top of the list, though. You're on the top of my shit list. Honestly, I'm definitely up there too. We're starting off 7-0, falling to 0-6.
Up there too with the Waddle.
L just letting Waddle float around. Of course, nobody here got him. I put my waiver request in, didn't get him. Of course,
I tried to put my waiver request.
I tried to get him back too. He tried to make up for it.
I lost him. But I will say I think my team's 7-6. We're fighting for the playoffs today. So, you know, by the time this video drops, we'll know. But hey guys,
pray for him.
Pray for me. I'm trying to sneak in the playoffs and do some work, but
Yep. Well, that will do it for our Who Smoked It segment. We hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, if it's something you like, leave us a comment, and you know, we'll bring it back. We'll definitely make sure to bring it back. We are going to be doing some more group bets, and so you might see some TikToks if someone happens to falter on their selection.
And you know, with these NBA, how the rates going, you might see your favorite player on the next Who Smoked It. So, you know, stay on tune, or you might see your most hated player on the Who Smoked It. So,
definitely a lot of opportunities. I'll say that.
But definitely want to turn it over, get some NFL talk in there. You know, the season has been kind of flying by. I feel every year, like in football season, kind of goes like this. You know, when you play once a week, well, really, Sunday's the main football day. They sprinkle the games out, which is nice. But season always flies by. But on the back of Who Smoked It, I think, you know, we're learning our lessons in this podcast thing. You know, we're learning our lessons, and the truth is, you try to be more right than wrong. And I promise you guys, if you keep watching, we're at episode 9, about to be at 10. I can guarantee you we will be right more than we're wrong. But, you know, things happen. And so I want to kick it off and kind of talk about, you know, the MVPs. You know, we had a debate, you know, a couple of episodes ago on, you know, halfway through the season, who should be the NFL MVP. And just to remind you guys who our selections were, I had Mr. K1 Kyler Murray for the now, I believe, 9-2 Cardinals. D-Lo had Justin Herbert out in LA, and Landon had Mr. Josh Allen up north in Buffalo. So, fellas, following those selections, how do you think we're doing? How do we look right now on those MVP selections?
Well, going back on it, I mean, at first I was like, damn, is Justin Herbert really still in the MVP consideration? And then I took a little deep dive into the numbers, And I'm like, absolutely, I'm onto something here. I mean, it may not seem like it because the Chargers kind of fell off a little bit there with some of the wins. Now, honestly, besides that, though, his numbers are right there, up there with everybody. I mean, he's actually got more yards than both of your guys, Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, more passing touchdowns than both of your guys, and a higher completion percentage than both of your guys. So, is he still in the MVP discussion? I think so. I mean, he's only, I think he's about 7 touchdowns away from Brady. He's got 1 less interception than him. His completion percentage is at 66%. Justin Herbert has been balling over 3,500 yards passing. And the Chargers, even though they fell off a bit from their hot start, they're still right in the mix of things. They're only 1 game behind the Kansas City Chiefs right now in the standings for the division. They will see the Kansas City Chiefs, coming up within these next 5 weeks. Can they still get the division? If they are able to get that game, they have 2 other, in-division games that they need to probably win. But absolutely, if they, let's say, rattle off 4 out of the next 5, I don't see why they can't still win a division and finish with one of those top records and him not still bring home the MVP. I still am riding with Justin Herbert. I think he still has a chance. They just probably need to win a couple more games, but the numbers are still there to back it up, in my opinion.
So you're telling me, D'Lo, you're not taking the cop-out to switch right now?
I'm not taking the cop-out.
The opportunity's there.
I'm not taking the cop-out. Honestly, the only other 2 I even put in consideration for him, maybe Kyler Murray missed some games, so I'm kind of pulling his name out just because of the injury history. The only 2 I'm kind of considering up there with him right now, to be honest, I would take Tom Brady just because his numbers are beating out everybody, and he's got one of the best records in the league. They're going to win the division.
Still doing it.
Exactly. And Patrick Mahomes, actually. I know that we want to kind of get on Patrick Mahomes. He's got 12 interceptions right now, but I'd say about 6 of those at least aren't even his fault to begin with. I know everyone's going to just look at the numbers and say he's got 12 interceptions. I'm going to tell you right now, 6 of those interceptions are not his fault. His receivers got to catch the ball. He's got 25 touchdowns still, 64% passer rating with over 3,300 passing yards too.
Yep.
And right now the Chiefs are hot right now. They're in first in their division. So right now, my top 3 MVP candidacy right now is Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady. And I think if the Chargers can rattle off a couple of these games and actually sneak that division, I think Justin Herbert will be the MVP still.
I think you made excellent points with Herbert. The only thing that just scares me is just that if. If he gets the division, because with Patrick Mahomes, he's been playing well, and like to your point with the interceptions, how many of those were him overcompensating for that defense? Where he kind of feels every time he touches it has to be score. My pick, I will say, Josh Allen. I was banking on the schedule, and then
I warned you about that schedule too. Backfired on either way
with that that infamous Jaguars game, and now I don't even think he's the best team in his division. So I will take the cop out, and I'm gonna have to go with this. I'm a little biased, but if if Jonathan Taylor can get us to the playoffs. I gotta go. Jonathan Taylor. That's what I'm going. He's been really carrying our team. Like when you watch our game, and we can really get that run game going, take that pressure off Carson, which he really hasn't been playing too bad. Personally, I thought I was really hard on him in the beginning with a playoff team starting off real suspect with the same group of guys we just went to the playoffs with. Yeah. I was very hard on Carson, but we didn't have that run game going. But now that we do. Takes a lot of pressure off Carson. He doesn't have to be Superman and make all these dumb decisions. So I gotta go. I like JT.
2 quick points from me. First, on the Patty Mahomes thing, I feel like I hear the Patrick Mahomes argument. I think part of the things that we should be thinking about, I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to hit like that LeBron James level where every year he's going to be in the conversation, but they're only going to give it to him so many times. So I think about that. I love Tom Brady right now. I do love Tom Brady. Herbert, the only thing that scares me is he has those very quietish games.
But are they quiet? I mean, this dude throws 300 yards passing every game. Go check it. I forget the exact number, but he's got a streak right now where he's got the most 300-yard passing games in the game.
He's definitely hot right now, but I think that division, it's not going to be easy with the rest of the division opponents they have. And I think a lot of this is going to play. They got to get to the playoffs. So, that definitely has to happen. They definitely have a chance to do it. But, thinking about my pick, I get a rain check. I get a rain check. I get a get out of jail free card. Whatever you guys want to call it, I deserve it. Kyler Murray got injured. And I know D-Lo could attest to this because in our fantasy league, he's a Kyler Murray owner. And he made ends meet in this league, so he looks like he should be going to the playoffs, which is
oh,
good.
No, I will, 100%. We're locked in. We're locked in.
And so, but I know he will admit that he missed Kyler Murray in terms of his point totals on a week-to-week. Perfect example, Kyler Murray comes back against the Bears, albeit it's the Bears. And, D-Lo puts up a casual 170 fantasy points combined with this whole team. Kyler Murray had a lot to do with it. But I think he's very solid. I think he's out of the MVP discussion, missed too many games, too hurt. But he's definitely up there in terms of best quarterbacks in the league, best dual threats in the league. Still looks like him and D-Hop just looked like they were taking casual rest off. They're like, our team's so good. We'll throw Colt McCoy out there for a couple games going on bye week. And we'll come back and we'll do our thing. Mm-hmm. They might actually, benefit from that later in the season when they're more rested. But I am definitely taking a cop-out, and I'm going to go with Mr. Tom Brady. As much as, a gripe I have with this guy, I will always be able to say my New York Giants did take 2 Super Bowls from him, and I'll leave it at that. But he still is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, and for someone at the age of 43 years old to be throwing the football like Tom Brady's throwing the football, leading a team the way that he's leading the team, with the injuries that he's had to persevere through on the offensive end with, AB being out, Gronk spending some time out. And then that defense has also had quite amount of injuries, and he had to compensate on that end too. I think they played the Colts, 38-31. And so he's definitely shooting out one of your best quarterbacks now. And at that age, I think the storyline of Tom Brady and the MVP right now discussion is just flowing right into the sunset. I think it's going to be Tom Brady, whether we like it or not, guys.
Todd, what you think about Todd taking the cop out here? The easiest answer on the board. Oh, I'm gonna pick Tom Brady. No fucking shit, you're gonna pick Tom Brady. I guess he's fucking leading passing yards, touchdown, and every goddamn thing. And the Bucs are cruising in their division. Ain't nobody even gonna catch him. So thanks, Todd, for taking the obvious answer right now. Old Tom Brady goes. Congratulations.
Never go wrong. But I think also what hurt Kyler too, obviously missing the games, but just even like him and D-Hop not playing and them still doing what they like, their team still performing in the game, still getting wins. Like that's ridiculous to miss out on an MVP candidate and still have your NFL team with Colt McCoy still get the job done. That team is a scary team.
I mean, I will say this though, for the MVP race this year, it definitely is one of the closer ones I've seen. I don't think anybody has necessarily ran away. Nobody's ran away with it. I think you can make an argument for definitely a couple of guys. Jonathan Taylor is definitely an interesting one. Running backs, it is tough to get an MVP usually.
LT might have been the last one.
Maybe LT. No, AP. AP won a year he went. AP won MVP one the year he won nothing. That's what I'm saying. It takes a special season for a running back to win that MVP. But you know what? I mean, Jonathan Taylor's numbers, he still needs a couple more busting games. He probably could use some more big-time performances. But I'll tell you what, his splits between the other running backs aren't even close right now. But I will say this, if Derrick Henry was still churning along, I think he might have ran away with it low-key. Though. I mean, the dude is still top 5 in rushing yards. He's been out for, 4 or 5 weeks now? Yeah. He's missed at least 2 months now of the season. The dude is still top 5 in rushing yards. I don't know how that even makes sense. What the hell are the rest of the league doing?
Built different.
He's just built different. But this is definitely one of the closest MVP races I've seen. And it's definitely, we're kind of splitting hairs here with a few things. Personally, like I said, I still like Jay Herbo. I think he can still have a chance definitely to get it. They just need to, finish the season up strong with these 5 games, which I think they can do. They play the Texans one time. They got the Giants coming up today. By then we'll have seen the results by the time this episode drops. Yeah. And then they got the rest of the division schedule. So they need to probably at least go 2-1 in the rest of the division games. But hey, sky's the limit for him. I think he can still pull it off, in my opinion.
I definitely think he's going to be an MVP.
One day in this year. Absolutely.
Just not this year. Just not this year. It might be the easy answer, but it's the right answer. And if we're going to be in the business of being right, I like to be right. God. And so I'm going to be right with Mr. Tom Brady. And when we revisit this discussion at the end of the year, I will be able to put up my hand and say I did take a cop-out, but it was a deserved one, and I'm right.
I better hope you're right.
We sneak into that motherfucking playoffs, and JT carries us there, and I got the crazy pick. I'm gonna get a JT jersey too with that Levine joint.
Look at this here. We got the cop out down there at all the way at the right, picking the easy answer, and we got the one that always picks his damn teams. Everything is Colts and Bulls with this guy, man. Colts and Bulls. Can we get away from the Colts and Bulls for once, please?
Yeah.
Yep. No. Speaking of Bulls, I think let's switch gears. Let's switch gears a little bit. But actually, before we get to the NBA. I think, we've been having some discussions about, college basketball season here, but college in general. There's been a lot of rumblings in terms of coaches moving. You have Riley, who just took the USC job. You have Brian Kelly, who just took the LSU job. And there's a lot of moving of these college coaches.
How come when these coaches just get up and leave these kids for the money to go to these, new programs, everybody claps it up for him. Mm-hmm. But when, the average kid wants to hit the transfer portal, it's you should wait your turn. Why you're not patient? You're ungrateful.
Right.
This, that, and
coaches talk. That's what they preach to the players. But then as soon as they get a little bit more money, they'll up and leave the school.
Just a little bit more money. These guys are. Think about Brian Kelly. I think they bought his house that was near Notre Dame because he's I think he was building a new one or something. I think they bought the new one that he had just built, and I think they're going to buy both his houses. $95 million, private jet to fly whenever he wants with his personal family. Am I missing anything else?
Ty, he did say before he actually picked up his deal, he actually did say anything short of a fairy godmother coming with $250 million check, he wouldn't leave Notre Dame. I guess the 95 was good enough with all that other perks added up to 250 because he will be the highest paid coach at a public university and with that 10-year contract, which is interesting. Honestly, the reason I think he kind of left was the way they're looking down. He's looking down the line. Notre Dame doesn't play in a conference right now, so the way the SEC is going to turn it seems like in a couple years the SEC is supposed to be it already is the powerhouse conference, but it's supposed to be it's supposed to just take over. Everybody might be joining the SEC. I know Texas joined them, and I believe Oklahoma, too.
That's the best is going to be playing
in the SEC. Yep. So I know he wanted a piece of that. Notre Dame, with them not being in a conference, I know he wanted a piece of that. Having said that, for one, don't go out on press conferences saying I'm not going to leave for nothing, pretty much. You literally, your quote pretty much says it right there. You basically said, it's going to take a miracle for me to leave. You ended up leaving a week and a half later.
Yeah.
Don't go out on national media and say that you're not going to leave for anything. And why leave in the middle of the season? To me, that was the worst part about it. Your team has a chance to make the playoffs still at that point. I think they were ranked, 5th or 6th at the time when he left. And he just copped out. You're preaching to these kids all season to buy into a system, to buy into you, to buy into this and that, to all this garbage that you were clearly spewing, and then you go out and just stab these kids in the back. You know what I'm saying?
Then that new coaching, faculty comes through, and they kind of change house because that new coach wants his new quarterback, his running back, receiver. So you have all these kids who are going to that Notre Dame just to get his philosophy and his teaching because he's preaching a message saying, "I'm going to be here forever." So they're committing going over there. And now when they get over there, he's throwing up the deuces and leaving them. And now, they're just stuck there at a school they didn't even really like too much. They just like the coach. And now these kids are asked up.
Yeah, and then another big point, I think I heard Keyshawn Johnson say, he said, with all the coaches and all the movements in terms of, the scouting pipeline and everything, he said over 400 college football players are going to be affected just on the scouting alone with, you have a scouting team and some coaches want to bring that scouting team with them, players that were committed to go there in the pipeline. About 400 students or college athletes affected. I think it's just not fair. I think it's not fair. I think that if coaches are going to be able to do that, if I'm a basketball player and I'm not feeling it at this school, I should not be having to sit out a year and do this whole eligibility requirements and whatnot. But I think this kind of leads into our subject of player empowerment. And we didn't really touch on it yet, but name, image, and likeness now in college sports as of July of this year. Players are allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness. This doesn't include universities. They will not be directly paying college athletes, but, you could actually use your name. You could do different scouting camps. You could sign different deals, endorsement deals with companies to make money. And so I think the players, now that they can get some of the economics behind them, they're going to get a little bit more empowerment. What do you guys think about name, image, and likeness and what impact that could have on college sports?
I absolutely love it. You have these kids finally, being able to, receive some of that revenue they make off of that name, because you could think of players like Zion Williamson in recent years with R.J. Barrett, not getting at least, over the table, not getting $1.
Yeah.
But yeah, President Barack Obama at that North Carolina game, packed out seats every single game. So Duke is making all this money off these players, and they're getting in trouble if they go out with their coach and he buys them a cheeseburger. Mind you, Zion and RJ have made millions of dollars for Duke University. So I love it, and I also love how these kids can now build their brand. So when the ball stops, when the ball stops dropping, because inevitably that happens. I hate to break it to you guys, but if you're pursuing a sport, that ball stops bouncing after a while. So when you build your brand, now it's not that they know the student athlete for just football. They might know him because he's a partner with this food restaurant, or he has this going on for himself. So now he just has more avenues for himself. Right. So it's just not only sports being the only way they can,
And just to add quickly, D-Lo, like just some dollar amounts. I was looking through the NCAA audited financials in 2017. They are now over $1 billion in terms of revenue that they're generating.
Doesn't surprise me.
A profit that they're taking in is $105 million. They're paying $560 million to D1 schools alone, in terms of that sharing agreement. None of this, by the way, includes any of the media deals, apparel deals, or licensing deals, or any of that other money.
TV deals? Does it include TV deals at all?
No media, none of those deals.
TV deals are
And so that's just quick context to the numbers.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, these colleges have been slaving these kids. That's what I call it, honestly, beforehand. Slaving these kids because they're working for free. Yep. How you making all this money for these universities and you don't see a dime? You were going, back to your dorms hungry as hell that night. No. It doesn't make sense. And to go off L's point before, like you said, the ball stops rolling, starts dropping. You won't be able to bounce the ball no more. You might not be able to throw the ball like you used to anymore. Like things like you'll get older, injuries happen. One perfect example of that is Paige Bucher. I know she just had an injury recently. It doesn't seem to be that bad, but God forbid she had an injury in college now, and that was that. Like she never made it to the WNBA. Now she set herself up for success. She was actually the first ever college athlete to sign with Gatorade. She signed with StockX, almost making about close to $1 million in endorsement deals for herself. Go get that bag, girl. Shout out to Paige for that.
Every single college student, go and get that bag.
Exactly, but it just shows right there that being able to use your own name to make money should have never been illegal. Like that never made any sense to me. And I call it the slave work of the NCAA. Like they're trying to make all the money for themselves. And it was a shame to see at the end of the day. It really was a shame to see. Like I said, kids going to their dorm starting. Like the Fab Five is another great example of a squad that really got taken advantage of. Everybody copied their swag. Like a lot of this generation copies of what the black socks, all that, and they never saw a dime for it. Like it's crazy. Like I can only imagine what some former athletes from back in the day would make now with these type of deals. But there definitely are, I could say, some negatives that we will see down the future with something like this. I don't know if you guys saw Nick Saban's press conference when he was talking about Bryce Young's deal, and in his voice, it sounded a little bit tentative, if that makes sense. He was talking about how much that Bryce Young receives in NIL deals, and he says it's close to about 7 figures. And the way he kind of said it stuck with me, because although that's great that Bryce Young is making almost $1 million in endorsement deals, this is also a kid coming from high school and all of a sudden having his bank account now full with $1 million in his bank. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can that affect, chemistry for one? Can that, if I'm the last guy on the bench, am I looking at now Bryce Young like, damn, this guy's making all this money, I ain't making jack shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can they let it get to their head at that point? I'm making all this money, I think I'm I'm bigger and better than the team. Yeah. I'm interested to see how this kind of plays out in the long term. Because while I do think there's also positives, there are negatives. Although I will say this is probably the best solution, because for the NCAA to dish out actual salaries for each sport and each player, it's too difficult. It's too complicated. So this is probably the best strategy you can have. I'm just interested to see how it will turn out in the long run.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to have its challenges, but I think what's important now, and it comes down to what are we teaching the students? don't get me wrong. Now, I get there's a purpose for every class in college, and you have your prerequisites. But I think that has to change in this model. Like, if I'm going to have a player that is going to come up against these NIL deals, hopefully there's some coursework in there in terms of financial literacy and just knowing how to do the business of sports, handling media, classes on that stuff, because the maturity level with that is going to be important. But a key point I also wanted to reference here is that, like, although there are the big six figures, a lot of these deals are not that sizable. Yeah. There's a platform like Open Doors, which pretty much connects fans of like these different college athletes to each other to be able to support their image and likeness. And the average deal, like through their platform, is about $1,100. So it's like, they're not crazy sizable, and I've also read a story about like a D2 lacrosse player that just hosted a scouting clinic for like 2 hours, made $500. And so, to your point in terms of being able to keep food on the table at your college dorm and things, I hope that that's recognized and acknowledged. But also, companies are also going to be responsible. I mean, I'm anxious to see what companies are going to step out on a limb and not go target the high name college athlete that's going to be earning a lot. Maybe they're targeting maybe a bench player or somebody that isn't as seen, but should also benefit at least marginally. And so I think that it's not going to be equal by any means. A lot of responsibility on a lot of people to make this thing work. Overall, player empowerment should be the end result of all of this.
Just to bring back your point, piggyback off your point too, I mean, with the courses, these college universities are now going to have to put some type of coursework within these kids' schedules to learn how to be financially responsible. And two, it's going to come down to a lot of these guys' inner circle, their family, who they have chirping in their ear. Are they making the right decisions with that? Because that is going to be huge. Because if you have the wrong circle around you, have the wrong people in your ear constantly with this type of money coming in, it can easily turn down the wrong path. It can easily be negatively affecting you. Like a kid like Mikey Williams, he signed a deal with Puma. The kid's only in high school. But fairness to him, he's got over 5 million followers across all his social media platforms. Yep. So, he deserves that exposure because he's worked his ass off to get himself to a point to where his name is that big. Like everybody, like all high school kids look up to this kid now. Yeah. So Puma decided to give him a deal already. Now he's coming in when he comes into whatever he goes to the G League or college, wherever he decides. But it's important that he has that stable situation around him, positive voices in his ears to kind of guide him the right way so he doesn't, spiral out of control or anything like that, so he doesn't get lost and can stay focused on what the ultimate end goal for him is.
And then even just building on that point, I feel like just with Mikey, he's already just going to, this is going to be practice for him now for when he gets to that pros, signing with Puma and having all this attention on him, it's only going to just keep growing the further he gets. So you're giving these young players, time. I don't want to say time, but you're giving them practice to, work on their circles, work on, financial management and how much money do I have or how much money do I really have. They might be telling me I'm getting paid X amount of money, but after taxes, it's really going to be this or, so it's really good that they're getting this practice as soon as possible because with these athletes, they get to the league and they didn't have any practice. So this is their first time having the money. So, we have people who are 25 just learning what to do with all this money. So giving them practice at 16, 17, that can help.
That reminds me of the kind of ball situation where they kind of grew up with a lot of they were kind of already came into the league kind of knowing what the deal was. Yep. So that's a good example for that. And also, but to that point, like you said, if you come in and you're not used to that stuff, a good example is AI and Shaq. I know when AI came to the league, they said he had I think it was a Porsche or a Ferrari, something like that. He had some supercar and it ran out of gas, and the dude literally just left it there and went and bought another car. That's being financially irresponsible at that point. Or when Shaq came in the league and he had his signing bonus and nearly spent almost every goddamn dime of it. Those are two examples of being financially irresponsible when you first come to the league. Two guys that came from not so much of a maybe even stable background. Shaq more so than Allen Iverson. But Allen Iverson came from nothing, so he didn't know how to handle that money. I was having that conversation with some of my workers. He told me that story, and I'm like, yo, they said he was stupid for that. I'm like, you can't say he's stupid for that because he never touched that type of money. He doesn't know how to handle it. He thinks it's going to be there forever, especially when you're not used to it. So that's definitely a good point. Getting used to it when you're young is for sure.
In the moment, you're thinking that, especially Allen Iverson level, you're thinking that's forever. I'm going to be paid forever so I could buy this car, that car. But no.
You used to $50 to $100 in your bank account. Now all of a sudden it's 6, 7 figures. Like,
yeah, no, it's different. It's different. Money definitely different. And one thing I will say, and I think it's a segment that we're gonna dive into. I definitely came up with the idea, but call me crazy, guys. But I'm calling it first. The days of those really good Duke basketball teams, Kentucky basketball teams, North Carolina, like these big schools, like they are slowly but surely going to be coming to an end. I look at a league, Overtime Elite, which has 4 teams. They're going to be paying their players a salary of $100,000. They're going to have direct one-on-one teaching and education platform, a 4-to-1 student-teacher ratio with some one-on-one time on financial literacy, knowing how to deal with the media and all that stuff. Like, I think, and then with the G League and what that's turned into as well, with players just going straight there and using that as their 1 year, like the elite of the elite, I don't know if they're opting for college anymore, in the near future, albeit with this name and image and likeness, it helps a little bit, but I don't think we see those super teams anymore in college basketball.
Yeah, I definitely don't think, the elite of the elite, we definitely don't see them for long, the years of having a really, really, really good 4-year players, I see more so, like you said, people going to the G League and just trying to make as much money as soon as possible to change their circumstances.
Yeah, yep. No, absolutely. Things will definitely change. The NCAA, you might be in trouble. You might be in trouble.
Yeah, I love it.
But we are not done yet. We have NBA. But before we get into some NBA talk, which I know you guys are waiting for, we do have a read by, our lovely sponsors over there at The Villa. This episode is sponsored and brought to you by The Villa. The Villa is a sneaker, streetwear, and vintage clothing store brand located in Ridgewood, New Jersey. The Villa carries the most exclusive, sought-after sneakers and clothing on the market, from Jordans, Dunks, V-Lone, Essentials, and so much more. The Villa provides the hottest items at the best prices. Whether you're from America or across the world, The Villa ships worldwide, giving people from all over the chance to get their hands on the most popular brands and fashion items. The Villa gets you new inventory every day, so don't miss out, and follow them on Instagram at BuyTheVilla. That's BUY, The Villa, and check out their website at www.buythevilla.com and order from wherever in the world. The link will be in our description for you guys to go check them out.
Of course, it's holiday season, guys, so if you have that significant other, you have that friend, brother, sister, aunt, whatever, cousin, definitely you can't go wrong with a pair of shoes.
Not at all.
And you can't go wrong with By The Villa either. They're going to have everything that you might need: drip, t-shirts, hoodies, shorts, good people, excellent service. They're going to take care of you, and they're going to give you them hood prices. So you can't go wrong with By The Villa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With that being said, over to our last segment or portion of this episode, and we're going to talk some NBA. I hope you guys have been enjoying the kickoff to the season. I know that there's been some popular names. We did our Where's Walter segment last episode, and we talked about some names that we're looking forward to hopefully see coming back. I'm thinking of Zion Williamson, Klay Thompson, but really want to focus on the point guard position to start here, guys. We have been thinking a lot about it, but I think this is a great time thinking about what Steph's doing, what Ja's doing, what CP3 is doing, Trey Young is doing, to talk about who are your top 5 point guards this year. And we're really going to go anywhere with this. You could say we're at this moment right now. You could say just like in general, if I give you a top 5, I'm going here. And, I'll kick it off. My top 5, and this is actually in no order. I was thinking about trying to put it in order, but no order right now. I'm going Stephen Curry, Trey Young, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, and Ja Morant is my top 5. And I think the surprise name on there, or one that people probably aren't going to like as much as Kyrie because he hasn't played any basketball this year, but just by the eye test, there's no one that could do with the basketball what Kyrie could do. From a handles perspective, from a finishing perspective, from a shooting perspective. And although we haven't seen it this year, I'm not going to ignore it. And I think that he deserves to be in that top 5. What are you guys' thoughts, who's your top 5? Where are you going different than me on my list? And why?
You can go first, Al.
So, you gave a great list. My list is very, very similar. I'm going to try and number them right now. So I'll go number 1, Steph. It's kind of, he's going to just sit at where he got to sit out with the point guards, because I don't really think, I think it's like Steph and then,
clear one, and then you got everybody else.
Yeah, you got definitely Steph's 1. Number 2, I will say I'm gonna go Luka. I'm going to go Luka. Breakout season. He's near triple-double this year. So I'm going to have to go Luka. 3 might sound a little crazy at the moment, but I still have to go Dame at 3. Even though he's hurt, he's been struggling, in the beginning of the season. I still think, you change his setting, put him onto a right situation.
Can they get him out of Portland, Lynn?
They have to.
That's all I want.
He don't want to leave.
Yeah,
it's his own issue.
I know.
I don't even feel bad for the guy because him and CJ been robbing the bank, and then they always complain they don't have no help. But it's like, bro, you're getting paid more.
Stuff keep getting leaked that he wants to leave, and then he keeps coming out in the media saying, "I never said none of this." So you never said none of it. You don't want to leave. Have fun in Portland.
Have fun with
have fun losing.
Mary Dance and
whoever the hell they got over there.
They're gonna bring you. Have fun. So I got Dame at 3, Kyrie at 4. I would love to put Kyrie higher, but we just haven't seen him yet. But still, that speaks to how good Kyrie is. That we haven't seen him yet, and I'm still gonna give him top 4 with all the talent we have at guard right now. But and then I'm gonna round out my 5 with Trey. It's really Trey, not too after CP because I gotta give respects to the legend, but just Trey is playing out of his damn mind right now. So I'm gonna give Trey my 5.
Ooh, y'all are interested here. You guys got people not even playing on here.
Yes,
oh
sir.
my god!
Yes,
well, I took Kyrie out of the equation just because he's not playing. So I can't put you in my top 5 for this year if you ain't played all year. So I took Kyrie out off the rip there. Obviously, there's no doubt. If this guy's not number 1 on your list, I don't know what the hell you're smoking.
List away.
Stephen Curry should be number 1 on everybody's list. He's honestly the greatest point guard of all time. Yes, I said he's the greatest point guard of all time. Forget Magic Johnson. I don't care. No, Steph Curry.
Can he break the record? Did he break it yet?
No, not yet. By the time this comes out, he would have broken it.
Okay,
yes.
All right, so he's going to break the record. Okay,
I
want to see that happen first, and I need to see some more time.
Let him get one more ring. Where's his statue? Steph Curry is different.
I have to see one more ring. For sure. I have to see one more.
Look, I wasn't playing with Kareem either. My damn whole for 4 of my chips either. If KD stayed, that would have been the equivalent. He would pass in the rings. If KD stayed in Golden State, he would pass in the rings, and that's the equivalent because Kareem is a top 5 player all time. So you got to factor that in with the Magic Johnson argument for me at least. Steph Curry number 1. Number 2 right now I got CP3. I mean, the dude has been playing out of his mind. The Suns are the best record in the eggs. I mean, his numbers don't jump out at you, but there's just that it factor. There's more that CP3 brings than just numbers to the table. So right now I got him as my number 2 point guard. Number 3, I got Trey Young. That's going to be a little controversial there. Trey Young, I got at number 3. The way he's been balling, I think he's getting slept on. He's top 5 in scoring and assists, and he's shooting efficiently.
Yeah.
He's shooting very efficiently, shooting over 38% from 3, 45 from the field as an undersized guard, too. I think he's number 3. He's been playing out of his mind, bro. He gets to the paint when he wants to. 4, I got Luka. Luka, obviously is a beast. And everybody always goes back to that trade saying the Mavericks won. I think there was no winner. I think, even traded.
And honestly, they're both in their perfect market.
Exactly.
Dallas for Luka and Atlanta for Trey Young is just so perfect.
It works for both.
It just makes sense. So I don't know why everybody always wants to drop Trey like he's not on the same level. He's right there with Luka Doncic. We saw that last year too when he took his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I got Luka at 4, and then the 5th one was difficult for me because a lot of guys' numbers are down this year. Guys like Westbrook and Dame, both of them have struggled this year, although Westbrook has picked up his play in the last, couple weeks, but his turnovers are still very high. Dame is not shooting a very efficient clip at all right now. He's playing pretty poorly. James Harden, another guy that's been playing pretty poorly. So it was kind of difficult for me to get a 5th point guard. So I went with Moran actually. What I've seen from him this year, he's averaging over 24 points per game. He's shooting a high clip, almost 50% from the field. Memphis is playing well, even though he just recently got hurt. They've actually been playing well without him. Moran is on the come up, and will he stay in that top 5 list for me all season? Who knows? We'll see. That 5th spot's kind of a revolving.
Yes,
he could. I will say. That's what I'm saying. We will have to see. But as of right now, I'm going to have to say, from what I've seen this so far, I will have to say Ja would be my top 5 for this year so far.
So, D'Lo, we don't have too many issues. I think, in terms of Trey and CP3, I think we just have a flip-flop. I actually have Trey 2, CP3 3, but I could get with you on CP3. The thing I love about Chris Paul, and he's I think the best natural player of the position.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's why he definitely is high up on my list, because like Steph is just there because he's Steph as well. But in terms of the natural, just what a point guard's supposed to bring to your team in terms of leadership, making sure everybody's involved and the team is kind of on the right foot and going in the right direction. He doesn't play anywhere where the team doesn't get better because of him. Like, that's why I love me some CP3. And so I think we don't really have a gripe there. And I think the one discrepancy that I have with both of you is probably Luka. And I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of a different Luka this year, but it's really he's still killing the league. But I'm worried his
triple double.
But defensive end, I'm just like, I feel like when it comes to making those stops, like they're always trying to hide him out. Like, and I feel like Trey Young, for being undersized guard, Chris Paul, relatively undersized, like Steph, they all like don't sound like they should be the greatest defenders, but I just feel like I get more of a work ethic out of them on the defensive end.
Someone trying to play some defense.
I will say, with Chris Paul, he gives you that defensive effort and the intangibles, like the leadership. Wherever he goes, that team just gets better. But I will say, you put Luka on that Suns team, we looking at that way different.
I don't think so. See, now you say that, I disagree with that.
I don't know DeAndre Ayton. I don't know
Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton.
I don't know if Ayton is what Ayton is, though.
I don't think so.
What else? Like, Ayton will still be very...
That's 26 triple dubs.
I'm just saying, CP3 has had a bigger hand than you think in Ayton's development.
Well, that's the first team on NBA player.
CP3, everywhere he don't win, they don't win. He went to OKC and took that nasty ass OKC team. They was a 4-5 seed.
A first team All-Star starter.
That always doesn't translate to wins, though.
Yeah, I hear you, but I still would take. If somebody gives me CP3 for Luka, I'm taking that.
They're 20-4 right now. Think about that without him, though. Like, how much better can they get? Are they undefeated with Luka? Like, no, there's no way.
They're still a.
Luka also,
better team.
There's a lot of things that Chris Paul does way better than Luka. Like, look at the free throw percentage for one. Chris Paul getting the ball.
Chris Paul
getting the ball at the end of the games is a lock on the free throw line. Luka can't even mark up 70% from the line. And he laid out there with Ben Simmons.
You put Chris Paul on that Mavericks team, what they doing?
They're going to be better.
They might be better. I didn't see him.
You want to talk about playoffs? I didn't see Chris Paul not even participate. He's hurt every single year. That's why I put him. Will not win a championship.
Now that's in the playoffs, but we're talking getting their team to the playoffs. He ain't never missed the mark on that.
I'd rather verse CP and D Book than Luka and goddamn D Book. I'll tell you that much, bro.
I don't know, but that combination, like on paper, I hear you, but I don't know from a cohesive standpoint how that works. Because D Book, he could look at a CP3 and there's a mutual respect there that he's been doing it for so long. He buys into a CP. He's playing next to Luka. I'm D Book.
He's gonna look at a first team All NBA player and he's gonna be like, okay, yeah, I can give him some respect too. I'd rather give a first team All NBA player some respect than what Chris Paul, like 37 at the end of his prime.
I got one for you.
Well, he don't look like he at the end of his prime.
He take care of his body. Don't look. LeBron ain't the only one still spending millions of dollars on his body. CP been doing that for a while.
You better keep that same LeBron playing in the playoffs because he always hurt. Right? Hamstring. It's always something.
What do you think Chris Stapps would be with a CP3 versus Luka?
Chris Stapps will be better, but I think once again, like that team doesn't have a better record. I still think Luka is just a better player.
So I guess
I think Chris Paul on the Mavericks, they top 4. They're top 4 in the West.
I'm not. I had to think about that
on the Suns, and they for sure win a championship.
They win in the championship without him.
No,
they win in the championship without him.
With Chris Paul at the
Yes, they were winning the championship this year. They're the best team in A this year. They're the best team in A this year.
Call me crazy, but I'm calling it now. Chris Paul will never win a championship. That's a lot.
That is crazy because they about to win one this year. They're winning one this year.
Look at me. If Chris Paul get hurt again and D Book by himself, you're gonna be like, oh, it's because Chris Paul got hurt, and they're not gonna win, and it's gonna keep on being the same story every year.
Chris Paul's numbers always don't. You gotta look at the Suns team and the way they're built. Right now, they have over 9 players averaging over 9 points per game. That's insane. They have 7 players averaging in double figures. They have a multitude of guys where their PER is over 13. Yeah. They got multiple guys with their PER over 20. This team is legit. Now go look at the Warriors splits, the second best team in the NBA. They got 3 guys. Shut down Steph Curry, that's all you got. This team is from top to bottom. And you know why? You know why this team is so nice? You know why everybody on this team does something? Because CP3 and Monty Williams are like this.
We got to mention, too, Clay and James Wiseman. They're just going to probably help just a little bit coming back.
Clay will help. James Wiseman,
that's still first round pick with Clay Thompson. Number 2, when we saw the Suns in the finals, let's not forget they was up.
They went against Giannis.
2 games. They were up to Giannis, but they were up 2 games. Chris Paul gets hurt once again, and they smoke 4 in a row. He just does not. He shows me time and time he does not get that job done. He always gets hurt. There's always something. I think it's
if we want to go to that argument, Luke ain't been out the first round.
Okay,
Luke ain't never been out the first round.
He get hurt too.
NBA player.
He get hurt too.
But regardless, I'm still taking Luka.
You first team and you never gotten out the first round.
Yeah.
Your first team ain't ever get out the first round. I'm just saying, ain't never get out the first round.
What?
Hey, show me something. Okay, show me something. I need to see a deep playoff run.
Shout out my boy Luka. He gonna lead the Mavericks where they gotta be. And
I hope so. This is definitely we got to revisit this one. I'll tell you that much. This one, we're gonna stash this back. We're gonna check back in with our viewers on this CP3 Luka conversation in a couple months, and let's see. Maybe I will have a change. I don't know. I don't think.
I don't think so. Another first team performance and Chris Paul go get hurt again.
I don't see it. I mean, the injury argument, I agree, but I mean, injuries are part of it. It happens. It's unfortunate. It's one of the reasons why Chris Paul is like, it's so hard not to root for the guy because everybody understands if it wasn't for these injuries, he probably would have one already. Like,
my thing is though, when somebody shows me who they are, you gotta believe them. Time after time again, I've seen Chris Paul get hurt, and the thing is, he's getting older and older. So when these injuries happen, when you're 36, 37, it's just, I don't know. I just can't trust Chris Paul especially to bring them to championship. When that's time, I just don't think he will be there for his team.
Got it. We'll leave that one there.
We got to check back at that. We got to check back at that one.
2 quick ones we're going to get into before we get out of here for today, guys. First one, Bulls and Nets. We know L is a big Bulls fan.
Here we go. We're jumping into the gauntlet.
And me and D-Lo are both big Nets fans. And so, both of our teams have looked quite solid to start the season by record. I personally think the Nets have a lot of work. I've seen a lot of things I'm not very happy with early in the season, which is very much so struggling against the better teams. The Bulls did get us twice, but let's talk about it. Who is more likely to come out the East, the Bulls or the Nets? And I think y'all know that I'm rocking with the Nets, and the reason why I got to rock with the Nets is because I just trust Kevin Durant more than DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in that moment. I know DeMar has a little bit more experience than LaVine doing it, but I think Kevin Durant knocks the Bucks out last year if he wore a size 13 instead of a 14. Like, I think that his playoff experience, his efficiency to just play the game and not need to put up 30 shots and get 30, but also how hard he's been working on the defensive end, blocking shots, contesting shots, getting all around the court. I do think James Harden definitely has to be better. I think that he's only given us really 2 or 3 outings that's vintage James Harden like this year. But I will say I'm concerned. I'm concerned that the game has changed and the way they're calling it is affecting him. I'm concerned because you would think without Kyrie he'd be more aggressive to try to score the ball, which James Harden, I'm sorry to tell it to you, but buddy, you're a scorer first. I get it. You adapted the passing, getting everybody involved, triple doubles. You grew into that, but you're a scorer first, and this team needs you to score the basketball. And so I need to see him take that step. LaMarcus Aldridge, I love what he's doing, but that needs to be consistent. I love getting Blake Griffin on the bench. Like I love getting Blake Griffin on the bench.
Making me sick.
I do think it's going to be an uphill battle. I do think the Bulls are a deeper team, but I'm going with experience and I'm trusting our big stars compared to their big stars more. And so I got to go to the Nets. I do need to see some things change. We are 0-2 to the Bulls, but I'm going Nets.
So, I guess to ruin the surprise, I'm going the Bulls, of course. But, you made great points. I do think it's at least 6 or 7 games. This is what we're speaking no Kyrie. So,
yeah.
I think this is, definitely 6 or 7 games. 2 explosive teams. I want to say You know, the Bucks are right up there. I really like the Heat too. I feel like we can never get the damn Heat. The Cavs, or I want to say title contenders, but they're serious threats in the East. I don't think anybody really wants to just
without
see
Colin
that.
Sexton, by the way,
team.
too.
Yeah, that's a team in the first round that's like you're not going to lose to them, but it's just like we have to like we didn't want to play them in the first round.
Like going into the paint with Jared Allen and Mobley.
It's not going to be fun.
Multiple games.
What if the Knicks and Cavs had to play in the first round? I don't think it's I don't think it's going to seed out that way, but
it's going to be in the 80s.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting game to see.
But I think, speaking of the Knicks and Cavs, I think the Bulls and Nets is the exact opposite of that. I think we're going to see explosive offenses, efficient offenses. You know, you brought up Kevin Durant. You know, he's going to hurt us. That is, you know, it's case in point. I just think with the Bulls, we get you guys because, like you mentioned, just the group effort. I believe that we take Kevin Durant's bullets, like his 50 pieces, and just make sure we have like we're harassing James Harden, make sure like Aldridge is in check, make sure Joe Harris is not really shooting, got to keep Patty in check. So I'm okay with letting KD's 50-point performances go on our heads. You know, it's going to suck watching them, but I think we can handle that because we have such a balanced, I don't want to say such a balanced offensive attack, but we have people who can make, a lot of people can make plays. So I do think scoring-wise, we can keep up with that. The only thing that just really scares me is just Harden turning back the clock and really remembering that he's James Harden. I'm hoping with Caruso leading the league in steals and Lonzo putting heavy ball pressure, we can really frustrate James Harden and kind of keep him in that, you know, negative playoff James Harden mindset or whatever. But I think it's one hell of a game. I think KD, DeMar, Zach, and Harden, I think they all go at it. I think it's fireworks every single game, but Bulls in 6.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 6.
No, I'm fucking Bulls in 7. Hey, I said 6 thinking that if I heard it, if I'd like it, but you know, Bulls in 7 a little better. Bulls in 7. Bulls in 7.
I'm with you guys.
Bulls in 7.
I think the series will be competitive. I got it going 7 as well. I'm taking the Nets in 7 off the sheer fact playoff experience. Mm-hmm. The Bulls have a lot of guys who've never been to the playoffs, who haven't been in that situation yet. We all know how tight-knit, gritty a game 7 can get, and it's going to come down to those last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Who's going to have the best player on the floor? Who's going to be able to dominate that role? Kevin Durant has been in that role time in and time out. I think KD will be able to take over in a game 7 late and, you know, ultimately deliver the victory. And I'm kind of doing a deep dive into the numbers. We played them already twice during the regular season. The Bulls got them both times. And I'm looking at the numbers. You know, DeRozan had a good game both times. He went 29-6. Second game, he went 28. Kevin Durant clearly has no issue going against the Bulls. He went 28-10, 38-11. He has no issues getting off against the Bulls. Levine also did his thing. You know, he had 31-8-6 the first time we played. Then he went he had 24 the second time we played. LA's actually been a huge factor from when we went up there. He's had 20 and 19 both games we played him. I think he'll be a big X factor along with other veteran guys on our team that have been to the playoffs, you know, like a Paul Millsap. We were missing Joe Harris the second time around when we saw you guys. We haven't had Claxton. I think both those guys will make a difference in a 7-game series for us. Ultimately, with the X factor right now is looking at James Harden right now.
Yeah.
Because we lost both games to the Bulls, but he played absolute like dog shit. I mean, my guy had 14 points in both games. Where the hell was he? James Harden, where the hell were you against the Bulls? I think, I don't know, they had probably a little Lonzo and Caruso probably.
Caruso was
taking the helm on him. So we definitely are going to need some form of James Harden. But it's a little encouraging to see that at least we were at least able to keep the games close without James Harden having to do anything. Because my man was clearly a no-show. But I think ultimately in a 7-game series, the Nets will get the Bulls ultimately because of that playoff experience that they do have up and down their roster. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just going to have the best player on the floor. You know, I know DeRozan and Levine have both taken a step this year, especially DeRozan. He's probably taken a step up. And he's the one guy on that roster who has some playoff experience along with Caruso. But Caruso isn't like... He's a role player. He's not the guy. He's obviously gonna be an impact player.
Derrick Jones went to the finals too.
Derrick Jones, Derrick Jones went to the finals, but he's another role player. Yeah. DeRozan is the guy that's had, you know, playoff experience. Vucevic never really been out of the first round. Levine's never been there. Lonzo's never been there. So it's gonna be interesting to see how those guys kind of perform in that playoff situation. But I think ultimately, like I said, the experience of Kevin Durant and the rest of those guys will come into the factor in that Game 7. Kevin Durant's going to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game, and there's just not going to be much of an answer. His palm's going to get sweaty, backsides get tight.
It's going to be one if James Harden shows up, which he hasn't in the first 2 games, but one, possibly 2 against our big 3. And I think Vooch is going to be that big X factor. If he can dominate and play like the all-star big, I know he can play. He's been so fucking up and down this season. If we can get a committed effort with Vooch, I think we're going to be in a good spot. And then I'm looking at with the Bucks too. The Bucks didn't really have too much championship experience last year, and they were able to get it. So hopefully we could follow that blueprint.
They didn't have championship experience, but they all had playoff experience at least. Giannis and Middleton have been battling together for a minute now. And Drew Holiday's obviously been, in the playoffs in his own. Like, their top tier guys have at least been in that war zone situation. Like, this group,
experience though.
But they've had playoff experience. Like, that's way more than any of your guys have. Giannis has been into the playoffs multiple years. They got knocked out by the Heat the year before, so they've been in wars together. This group has never been in wars together. So I think that's completely different situation. And obviously, I think Giannis is also better than anybody the Bulls have in general as well. But I do think the Bucks have way more playoff.
All I'm saying is that big 3, DeRozan, Levine, and Vooch. I'm telling you, if we see you guys,
we gonna see. It's good. It's been good for the regular season. I haven't seen it in the playoffs yet. We know shit can get me. Are they gonna fold like a cheap napkin in the playoffs? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I've seen DeRozan fold quite a bit of times in my past.
I've seen Harden been put.
You know what? You're not gonna get too much of an argument out of that one because Harden does piss me off. So you know what? I can't. Yeah. Game 7 Harden isn't the best version.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah. No, and look. We both got to get there. We both got to take care of what we got to take care of.
They'll be in the playoffs. Hopefully, we do see that playoff battle.
Yeah. One of us run into a Bucks, we're gonna have a long 7. I hope. It's gonna be a tough series. Like if one of us have to run into the Bucks and get them out in 7, and then see each other. I think change the way you think about things. If you just burnt 7 out against the Bucks, and then you got to go see them. So. Hopefully we could keep that top seed. Definitely we'll be checking in on Bulls and Nets for you guys for the rest of the season. But before we get out of here, by the time you guys see this, I'll be getting ready for some NBA Christmas games. And so as much as, you guys probably love the NFL on Thanksgiving, I love me some NBA on Christmas. Wake up and basketball all day long. And so I'm going to run off, 4 out of the 5 games, the 5-game slate. And we're gonna do a pick 'em. We're gonna do a pick 'em. And so first one, Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden at noon. That's probably a great game to go to, by the way. I'm just thought about it.
Yeah,
Bing bong, guys, bing bong. What do we? I'm going. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna pick the Knicks. I'm gonna pick the Knicks on this one. Landon, you got.
I as much as I want to go Knicks with you, in my recent experiences, I think I picked Knicks back-to-back times. They let me down 2 times, so screw them. I'm going with Hawks.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought you'd both be on the Hawks. I thought I'd be the only one picking the Knicks here, but I got the Knicks in a revenge game for the playoffs last year. They're gonna be at the crib. I don't know. I just got a Knicks nasty game feel. First game, they'll open up. They'll take one against the Hawks in the Garden for Christmas. I won't spoil their Christmas for them. I wouldn't mind the Hawks winning though.
I think nice Trey gives them a nice little Christmas battle.
You know what? And he go a little burr on him. It's gonna be cold. So.
Yep. So second game on the slate, we got Boston Celtics at Milwaukee Bucks. I love me some JT. Hopefully JB is back for that game. I know he's been hurt, but give me some Giannis in the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are just rolling. Giannis is playing. I think they're getting the things together. And also, I've been reading reports. DiVincenzo is on his way. Should be returning soon. I don't know if he'll be there.
Just great.
Don't know if he'll be there for the game, but I gotta go Bucks as well.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks as well. I don't think this was too much of a hard one. They're rolling right now. They're the top 5 team.
Why the Bulls not on that game? Why can't they get Bulls Bucks on that one?
I don't know. Did they make these?
I don't know how they. I don't know if they picked these.
They must have made the schedule before y'all made some of these moves.
I know they be making them before the year.
Yeah.
Before the year, and I know we had a bad year last year, so maybe they got pissed off because we used to be good. For a little,
when y'all had D-Rose,
a 12 o'clock game. We used to be good. We used to
play the Knicks one year, I remember, yeah.
And then, but I guess with Trey Young going crazy in the playoffs, they probably say, people want to see him. So,
not disrespectful. Hopefully, I would like to see the Bulls on Christmas.
Hopefully, we'll be back maybe that 2:30 Yeah, 12 o'clock, hopefully.
Yep. Next on the docket, these teams have faced off twice in two very thrilling matchups so far. We got the Golden State Warriors and Mr. Steph Curry. Clay may be back for that game. At the Phoenix Suns with CP3, L's favorite point guard, obviously.
I'm rocking CP. I'm rock with it. That's the point guard. I'm rocking it. Just not Luka.
I am going to go. Oh, they split. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm going Phoenix. I'm going Phoenix in the third matchup on Christmas. I like what they did the first matchup. I know they didn't have deep book for the second one. I'm assuming he'll be there and at full force. I like the Suns.
Like the Suns, I might have to piggyback with you. Home team. I always just kind of like going on to home teams with big games, especially on Christmas. You know the crowd's going to be there. They're going to be going crazy at Phoenix. So give me the Suns.
Yep, I like the Suns as well. I think they're going to throw everything at Stephen Curry, the kitchen sink at him, and honestly, you stop Steph Curry, and you got a pretty good chance of stopping the Warriors then. So I think that if they can do a good job of limiting Steph Curry, honestly, they just got to all out sell out on him and don't let him beat you. Just don't let him beat you. Don't let him start catching fire. I do like that they're home, but yeah, I'm gonna take Phoenix.
And at the 8 o'clock primetime matchup,
Primetime joint.
we got my Brooklyn, me and D-Lo, Brooklyn Nets, in LA, in La, in Hollywood, in Southern California, in the Staples Center. A beautiful one. I'm sure it'll be an iconic matchup. It's going to be very thrilling. But I'm not gonna not take my Nets on Christmas. They better not ruin my Christmas. They better not ruin my Christmas. I'm going Nets.
Going Nets. Who? The Nets did do them dirty last time they were in LA. I don't think KD.
They last year when they played. No, I don't think he played.
Yeah.
I don't know if LeBron played. I think it was a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys out. So I don't know. Something's telling me to go LA. I don't know. I think Russ is gonna play with a lot of pride, and it's gonna be almost their championship for him. I don't know. Just, what the hell? Go. LeBron wins on Christmas. What the hell? Let's go Lakers.
I think it's going to be a close game for sure. I got the Nets slightly pulling it out. I know KD likes to get up for these, nationally televised games. I think LeBron will get up as well. Hopefully James Harden decides to get up out of bed too.
Both of them.
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, this was supposed to be the final matchup, and we just got guys sleepwalking here. The stars are there. Like, why is LeBron still the best player on their team? Like, LeBron, it doesn't make sense to me. Why is LeBron still easily the best player on the team?
After he won the one ring, said, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. He meant it.
Like, Bron plays with a chip on his shoulder still. Year 19, 4 championships in. Easily, arguably the best player of all time, if not at the very least top 2. Mm-hmm. And he plays more with a chip on his shoulder than AD. It doesn't make sense to me at all. But I got the Nets sliding it out in a close game. I think KD might even hit a game winner, honestly. Well, what the hell?
Call me crazy, but calling it now.
Call me crazy, but I'm calling it now. KD game winning shot. Yes, I like it.
That's not a bad bet
for Christmas.
For Christmas,
yeah. That's my Christmas gift. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love came to me. A KD game winner.
Oh, I love it. And the nightcap. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Depending on what's in the cup on Christmas Day, kind of how it's been going.
I'm not finishing.
I don't know. I I finished this one either.
I don't think I've ever finished it, to be honest.
The Lakers are so old. I don't know if they finished.
I don't know if they gonna finish. LeBron. I'm about to catch the highlights on my phone or something.
Yeah. But,
I'm going Mavs though. I'm going Mavericks. I think it's gonna be another close one. I've been rocking out with pretty much all home teams to start, but they do the 2 evening games and go on road. I got the Nets, and then I'm also going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. And, I like Luka will get a triple-double this game. I think Luka will get a triple-double that game.
I hope so for fantasy-wise, but I'm going Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell has been low-key, been balling, playing like he's the Dwayne Wade. So, I guess I just got to keep following my method with the home teams. Did I take all home teams?
Yeah. No, you took the Hawks.
Took the Hawks, huh?
So the Hawks are the only one.
I'll finish out with Jazz, securing the dub on Christmas. Boring ass game though, I think.
Yeah, I'm also taking. I'm with you, LG. I'm taking Utah. They've caught their stride the last couple of weeks. Donovan Mitchell has been balling. Rudy Gobert has actually been balling too. And since that comment Patrick Beverly made, he's low key been putting up some scoring numbers too, 20 and 15, 20 and this, 20 and so he set out still on a mission, and I think Donovan Mitchell will end up, pulling it out for him. I think Utah wins honestly pretty healthy. I think they're a very, very underrated team. I think they're in that second tier right now, right behind the Suns and Phoenix. But yeah, I got Utah taking it.
Interesting. So I'm by myself on the Mavericks. Just to recap, Hawks at the Knicks. Me and D-Lo have the Knicks. Landon has the Hawks. Boston Celtics at the Bucks. We are all landsliding on the Bucks.
Sweep them.
Golden State Warriors at the Suns. It's a landslide for the Suns. Brooklyn Nets at the Lakers. Me and D-Lo obviously rocking with our guys. And Landon with the Lakers. And then the nightcap, Mavs at Jazz. Landon and D-Lo with the Jazz. I'm running solo on the Mavericks. To you guys' point, I do think the Jazz is a better team. I just think the Mavs win this one. I don't know. I don't know.
Regular season game, yeah.
But Landon, over to you. I know we all wearing something a little new today. We ain't talked about yet, but close us out.
Sir, so as always, thank you guys for listening to the end of the show. We always just appreciate you guys for coming out. We really put a lot of effort in to make sure we have fun debates. We really try to go at each other. Just, if that could give you a laugh or somehow brighten up your day a little bit, then, that's job well done for us. As always, follow us on YouTube at the Juice Crew Podcast. Instagram is the.Juice Crew. Same on TikTok as well, the.Juice Crew. Really check out those pages because, we post very often. You'll see funny memes. You'll see us, failing on bets. You might laugh at that group chat debate. So really, that's how you can keep up with us. So it's not like we're spending too much time apart from you guys. But as always, you see us in that drip and some different flavors, cozy and comfortable. You don't see us in that one color anymore. We're branching out. We're really labbing these.
Starting to get somewhere.
We're starting. We're getting different designs and all that kind of stuff to get to you guys. So ultimately, you guys can sport it and look good. I know I can speak for me, but I know when I was wearing this, a couple people was like, "Oh, hey, dope sweatshirt, this, that, and the third." I really wish I could show you guys the back, but you'll get it when you guys buy our merch. But as always, is there anything I missed out?
No.
I hope you guys enjoyed our new segments too, as well.
Yes, sir.
Who smoked it?
Mr. Rob.
Mr. Rob. And shout out to my stupid ass fantasy team. But yeah, I'm on who smoked it, so whatever.
Yeah,
but that'll be a new segment coming along. We're gonna put that out on some social media, so be on the lookout for that. We're also gonna be introducing another segment called Call Me Crazy, but I'm calling it now, as you guys kind of heard earlier already. So stay on the lookout for that. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much a wrap.
As always, enjoy the rest of your day.
Put them on. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Who's sending us gifts?
Hey, why did it get quiet? You supposed to say that.